Exposing Workplace Bullying, where we pull back the curtain and have real conversations about workplace abuse. This is episode 21, The Bully Above, the Bully Beside. I'm your host, Dr. Jan Kircher. One thing hit me the other day, probably because it was my birthday. I've been dealing with workplace bullying for damn near 25 years. That's a quarter of a century. It's wild to say that out loud. It gives you just a little idea how old I really am. But anyway, for most of that time, I was just trying to get it to stop. Document, report, wait, watch the other shoe drop. On me. Repeat. All that time, I kept thinking, this place is going to get it together and protect me, because the bully was the problem. Then the day came when the bully left, and I breathed a big sigh of relief, and I really thought, okay, it's finally over, finally. But things didn't get better. Someone else just stepped right into that role. That's when I finally had to admit to myself, the more I learned, the less I knew. Things weren't getting clearer about workplace bullying. They were getting foggier, more tangled. And one of the thickest tangles is about position, power, where the bully is standing when they do the damage. Is it different when the harm comes from above you or from beside you? The answer is yes and no. The sickness is the same, a learned playbook, a rewarded strategy, but the tools the system gives them, those are completely different. A bully beside you has been handed a scalpel. Precise, personal, deniable. A bully above you has been handed a sledgehammer. Official, structural, devastating. Both are designed to hurt, and they do. We'll start with the bully beside you, the person on your level in the organizational chart. And yes, technically, even below you, but they're still considered your peers. Then we'll move up the chain to the bully above, the one with the title, the one the system says has legitimate authority over you. We know from last episode that all bullies are wielding some type of power. That's not up for debate. What that power looks like depends on position. Even though the bully beside you is your peer, they still have power. Now, their power isn't written down anywhere. You won't find it in a policy manual. It's informal power as a result of bullying. Power they've taken time to consolidate. You know the kind where they insert themselves into leadership spaces that aren't theirs. Everybody seems to know the bully and their name. They have access to your boss, present themselves as indispensable, and use that access to feed false narratives about you. It's the power that comes from proximity and influence. That's bullying carried out through manipulation and deception. So, yes, they use the same core playbook and toxic tactics as the bully above, but how they use them depends entirely on position. Informal power causes real harm, even without formal authority. A scalpel can do just as much damage as a sledgehammer. It just leaves a different kind of mark. One thing that makes the bully beside so dangerous is this. They weaponize everyday things the organization never thinks to guard. Now, you might be thinking, oh my, Jan, that's a vague and loaded statement. And yeah, it sure is. So let me give you an example to make the point. It starts with a simple, poisonous framing. Jan is not likable. Jan is weird. Jan is a troublemaker. The bully beside doesn't say it in a report. They seed it into conversations. I just find her so hard to connect with. Did you see how she reacted in that meeting? So odd. It seems like a random comment, but it's really a campaign to make your fundamental work presence seem like a problem. Then they reinforce it. If you're quiet, you're withdrawn. If you're passionate, you're too intense. They gaslight the environment to make your authentic behavior seem like evidence of the flaw they invented. You are a massive problem. Once your bully has saturated the closest workspace with this narrative, and they've shifted how people see you, they go outward. And eventually, they take it to human resources. Informally, of course. I'm concerned about team cohesion. Jan seems off, isolated, not a team player. She's affecting the morale. They're not reporting an incident. They're presenting their manufactured reality as fact. And HR only hears team cohesion and morale problems. What they don't see is that they're hearing lies and treating those lies like facts. Lies your colleagues are now repeating. HR interprets it as conflict, not as bullying. From their perspective, Bob, a trusted colleague, has come to them off the books with a personality issue, a fit problem, which is where the othering of you begins. And HR's own my-side bias is working in the bully's favor. The story they're hearing fits what they already believe. HR starts to see you as the one who doesn't belong here, not a team player, the troublemaker. The bully beside, their weapon wasn't a policy violation. It was the open channel of communication itself loaded with a toxic narrative. The bully beside becomes HR's mole, dropping in with little updates about how the team's going, how everyone is doing, shaping HR's view of the department. And in return, the bully gets protected status. When they finally bring a poison story about you, it doesn't land as a complaint. It lands as trusted intelligence from a reliable source. They've weaponized HR's need to feel connected to what's happening, turning a function meant to protect into a shield for themselves and a weapon against you. For Bob, it's a win-win. He weaponized the everyday thing, HR itself, their preference for informal intelligence, something the organization never thought to guard. But HR isn't the only one being manipulated. The bully beside you looks at the organizational chart like a scorecard. Who else can they influence and poison against you? They start working the room at every opportunity. They get bystanders to repeat the same story, so it becomes them against you. Everyone seems to have a problem with you now, even leadership. Bob is pulling their strings, and they write you up thinking they're making a good managerial call because their trusted, reliable source, Bob, fed them information. Once that false story about you is in circulation, everyone who should intervene, your supervisor, HR, they won't, which is the contradiction. They're actually more free to intervene when it's peer to peer. Bob isn't their boss, but because the system calls it interpersonal conflict, something adults should work out themselves, they don't step in. They don't see bullying. They see disagreement. That misclassification is exactly what Bob counts on. He's not just being cruel, he's using bullying as a strategy to hurt you, to gain power, and to protect himself. So when you finally do make a report, Bob is bullying me. Your supervisor already thinks you're the problem. By the time you get there, it's too late. Bob is perceived as the victim, not you. This is the bully besides ultimate move, preemptive self-defense. They weaponize narratives and trust not just to harm you, but to build an unbreakable fortress around themselves. So they are seen as the golden child who would never engage in bullying. Their power is informal, but it's enough to make your truth and allegations of bullying against Bob look like disruption, even like an attack on the organization itself. And remember, bullying is learned. The bully beside learned it from the system. They had no power to begin with, but bullying gave them power, and the system rewarded them for it. This is how that learning takes place. The bully acts and waits. Every time HR does nothing, every time leadership looks the other way, the message is reinforced. Inaction against bullying becomes reward. That reward locks the behavior in. In the moments when leadership and HR should be curbing Bob's behavior, they are instead reinforcing it, allowing one person's bullying to harden into organizational culture. And once it becomes the culture, the bully beside is the one who carries it, maybe even more than the bully above, because the bully beside is in the day-to-day. They're the ones people see, hear, and absorb. Most employees spend far more time with their peers than with their leaders. So the bully beside becomes the model. They teach everyone what's tolerated, what's rewarded, and what gets ignored. The bully beside becomes the template for what's normal here. Let me speak candidly if I can. What should happen to the bully beside is accountability. But the chances of that are slim. What's far more likely is that the bully beside gets rewarded, promoted even, and becomes the bully above. This is the norm, not the exceptions. Leaders, our bosses, are often the bully. Somewhere between 60 and 75% of workplace bullying comes from people in leadership roles, depending on the year and the source that you use. And when the bully is above you, everything changes. The bully above you has actual power, formal power, real authority over you, the kind that affects your job and your career, whether you keep it or you don't. When the bully is above you, their behavior isn't just annoying or disruptive, it's consequential. And just like the bully beside, the bully above can use any tactic from the playbook. But what makes their bullying so difficult to name is that they use their authority to do it. And it mimics their actual job responsibilities. Bad evaluations, exclusion from opportunities, excessive scrutiny, and the list goes on and on. A bully above is given the tools to bully as part of their job. Reviews, evaluations, feedback. They're handed a pretty sizable arsenal for their bully kit, courtesy of the company. So they have the luxury of using that kit to mask their bullying as leadership or part of their job duties, making it harder to parse out what's really bullying and what's not. Whether we like it or not, leaders and supervisors should be giving feedback, supporting your development, helping you build your skills, and improving who you are on the job. The reality is, though, that sometimes that feedback isn't delivered well. You can have a boss who gives you poor feedback, but with the intent to help you, and maybe they're not very good at delivering that feedback. It might be awkward or clumsy, but the goal is still to make you better. It's actually feedback, not bullying. On the surface, though, sometimes bullying and feedback can look similar, even though they are nothing alike. Feedback, even if clumsy and in bad condition, is about making you better so the company can be better. Bullying is about hurting and harming you, and it makes the company worse. The intent behind bullying is harm, period. The line between the two is often not clear-cut. Leaders are really good at making bullying look like they're just doing their job, following expectation, enforcing standards, doing what the company wants. But that's only part of why bullies above get away with it. The other part is that we don't have a universal definition of leadership. It depends on the person, the work, the team. What counts as good leadership is subjective. What one person calls strong leadership, another person sees as intimidation. Your boss humiliates you over a sloppy budget in front of a client, and instead of stopping it, people just smile and say, "That's just Bob," or they act like they didn't hear it. These reactions aren't random. This is one of the ways bullying and harm gets normalized. Not because they're hidden, but because leadership roles make them look legitimate. Once legitimacy is assumed, everything shifts. Bullying from above becomes harder to challenge because authority changes how harm gets interpreted. When the bully has formal power, their behavior isn't judged on whether it's fair or grounded or if it's even acceptable. It's judged on whether it fits the role. Criticism is treated as corrective. Pressure is treated as necessary. Control is treated as intentional. And layered on top of that is something even more subtle. We don't scrutinize leaders the same way we scrutinize everyone else. We assume their behavior is part of leadership. Their title gives them built-in credibility. People trust them by default. So instead of asking whether the behavior is harmful, we ask whether it sounds like something a leader would say or do. Leadership makes bullying legitimate. And once it's legitimate, the system steps in to protect the bully above, through the title, through performance, or both. High performers get a lot of get-out-of-jail-free cards. If someone brings in money, has a rare skill, or is considered too valuable to lose, their behavior gets excused. They can be a brilliant surgeon and a nightmare to work with. They can be the top salesperson and openly cruel and vicious. Instead of accountability, they get defended, tolerated, or quietly moved into another role or department, which only allows the bullying to spread. The bully above also has authority that flips the burden of proof. The person being harmed has to prove its abuse, while the leader's behavior is treated as legitimate by default. The title does the work evidence should. A bully above is a different beast. They're not just difficult, they're a tsunami. They don't only have actual power, they have bullying power. With both in hand, they don't just criticize you, they reshape how you're seen in the organization. This causes so much damage. It isn't just emotional. It hurts you professionally. It hits you what you've spent years building. And who stops it? HR? Other leaders? When the bully's above you, it's management. It's their team. Questioning it looks like you're challenging authority. So they don't step in. They might not even see it. Hell, they might even be doing it themselves. And before you know it, boom, the leadership shield locks in place. The system was built to sustain itself, not to protect you or to stop bullying. HR answers to leaders, and leaders protect leaders, even when there are allegations of serious workplace abuse. And you're left in a dark place with almost no recourse. The company you were once excited to join, the one that prides itself on fairness, is suddenly willing to hang you out to dry. Workplace bullying always hurts, no matter where it comes from, whether that is the bully above you or beside you. They're both painful. They're both exhausting. That's a fact most of us can agree on. It just really sucks. But even knowing all that still doesn't answer the deeper question. Why don't other people see what's happening? The bullying, the abuse. It's so obvious when you're the one living it. What am I seeing that other people don't? Those very questions are at the heart of our episode 22, The Mask of Respectability. We're going to look at the mask Bob wears, the one that turns his bullying into professionalism in everyone else's eyes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. This is an independent, listener-funded podcast. Consider supporting its production at buymeacoffee.com/stopbullyculture. I'm deeply grateful for your partnership. The link is in the description. If this episode hits home, check out stopbullyculture.com, where I share tools, resources, and real talk to help you deal with workplace abuse. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Until next time.
They gaslight and plot, play their games. Witness a smile, you're part of the shame. Your boss stays silent, closing the door. How many voices will they ignore? The bully lies, the brave get burned. The office watches, no lessons learned. Your boss hides, truth gets colder. It's time to stop the bully culture.